Hi, I'm Christina,
And I'm Matt.
and this is New Wayz podcast.
So, in today's episode, I'm very excited because this is the first time I'm actually doing the intro for this.
Whoop.
So this will be kind of a new experience for everyone involved. But this week, especially, we are going to talk about something that's pretty remarkable that you did about a week ago. Now, you went to New York City to a Tony Robbins event. You spent about 4 or 5 days at a conference that was strictly surrounded like success and well-being and health. So I would love for her to kind of do a huge recap on this event and how you sort of felt being there and what were some of like the main key takeaway points that you discovered from it.
Awesome. Was that a question you were asking me right now, or do you want me
All
to
the
go
above.
into- Okay, so thank you for thinking that's remarkable. It's just an every single day of my life, I feel like. Anyways, so not to be dramatic, no. I mean, you know me. I love that kind of community. I love going to events like that. So this was kind of second nature. My friend actually brought it up to me. And I was not too excited to go because it's cold out there and I was not feeling too well in regards to like my mental health, but I'm so glad I pushed through and went because there's a lot of great takeaways that I can't wait to share with you guys today. Also, so yeah, we flew into New York. Me and my friend spent a few days in New York, and the actual physical event was in New Jersey, which is not far from New York. I want to say the car ride was like 30 minutes or something like that. It was a 4-day event. And they call it UPW, but it's Unleash the Power Within. So yeah, I guess I'll just share some insights today about the 4 days and what it encompassed. There were so many interesting insights, things that I loved, things that I wasn't too fond of. So
What was the main point of the event?
it's so weird because there were so many different points encompassed in this event. There were so many different speakers. I want to say the main point of this event is to kind of get people to take action in improving the life in the way that they want, like building the life that they want and overcoming limiting beliefs and stuff like that. I think that's the main reason for the event.
Man, it's so cool to think that you have like there is someone out there that's like dedicated to this work in a way, but then can do it on a global scale like that.
Oh, Tony's
Yeah.
like, I want to say insane, but that's not even the right word for it. He's a remarkable human being.
And you said it's sold out in an arena. Like this isn't like
it was
like a
hockey
conference
arena.
room. It was probably what, 10,000 cap? 10,000 people were there?
I'm not good with guessing.
Okay.
Like, people in a room, but this was a hockey arena.
Yeah.
In the middle of New Jersey.
That's amazing.
And it was completely like packed. So yeah,
that's so cool.
I know, right? Tony's incredible. For those our viewers who aren't really aware of who Tony Robbins is, which he's been around forever. My father, when I told him I was going to this event, even was like, oh, he's been doing this a while. I want to say Tony's in his 60s now. He is a businessman. He was saying he does like billions of dollars in businesses, but he's also, what he kept saying was he's like, I have a PhD in getting results. So from like, yeah. So he's also in a way, I guess, a motivational speaker.
He's just a life coach on steroids.
I guess.
Oh, not physical steroids, but just like emotional.
Man is huge though,
the man
at
is
the same time. Yes. So yeah, no, he is very educated in a variety of different subjects. And I really do applaud him too, because people look at him and they see this larger than life businessman, right? And a lot of people, you look at individuals and that's something they're like, it's about the money, right? Like you look at a businessman like that, you're like, oh, everything's about the money. I mean, what I was thinking while I was there, I'm like, this man is very well in his 60s and still doing this, and he doesn't have to. And he kept saying, I do this because I really want to help people. So that's very remarkable. Yeah. And I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so I find it really fascinating because a lot of people too can kind of look at events like this and think and feel like it's almost like a hack.
Or culty.
Or culty, or, like, oh, someone's just swindling you for money. Cause this was not a cheap event.
No, it's
not. You said you were lucky enough to kind of go on a discount because you knew someone at the event, but this, I believe, was like $1,500.
I think regular tickets, and there's like different levels. There's like platinum, VIP, diamond, or something like that.
So
just general admission, I want to say, is like $1,400.
Yeah. Okay. So a $1,400 ticket, that's a lot of money, and so the thing is like, what Do you feel like the information that you got from the event was worth sort of the cash amount in a way, even though
So once again, it depends who you're asking
yeah.
also. Like it depends somebody's means. It depends how intrigued and motivated they are in this type of like setting and field. Personally though, I think that one of the most valuable things you can do is invest in yourself. People spend so much money on other things in this world, regardless if it is superficial stuff like clothing, cars, or if it's vacations. The way I see it is like, what is your life worth to you? Right?
Yeah.
Because going to these events, if you actually give it your all and you take away from it everything that you possibly can, like it can be life changing. So in that sense, like to me, you can't put a price tag on that. Self-improvement. But like there's things I like, there's things I didn't like, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 days too.
I mean, that's true. I think about it kind of like, damn, that's like, I mean, in a way, it's like expensive therapy in a way, like is right because you have some giant speaker talking to you about a bunch of different things, but also too on top of this. And I know that unless if you're watching the YouTube video for this episode, I don't have the visual, but you have a book.
Oh yeah, I have. So yeah, I'll kind of tell you guys what's included
Yeah.
in the price and like what the event kind of consisted of. In regards to the price too, is one thing that Tony said, and I do agree with also, is you know how everyone's just like mentors don't have to be a person you're constantly in contact with. These type of conferences and events are actually meant for you to get all the knowledge this one person has gained over years. Just like when people tell me how long have you been in the field, I'm like, I've been learning about mental health and wellness and self-improvement since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
It's been something I'm interested in. So you pay the money though to save yourself the time of figuring all the stuff out on your own, if that makes sense.
So you feel like it's sort of like you pay this money for a fast track.
In a way, yeah.
In a way.
Because I'm like, the things I was even sitting there, because since I've been so engrossed in this, I knew a lot of the things that he said. It was such a great refresher, though, especially delivered from him because of his energy. But I was sitting there and I'm like, yo, a lot of the stuff I learned from like this book, this book, this book. So it took me literally reading like 5 different books to just sit here for 30 minutes and hear what this man had to say.
Interesting.
So that's a good way to look at it too.
But also, do you feel like because it took you longer to receive those same lessons, do you feel like you appreciated it more compared to someone who's like hearing the exact same lessons for that first time and maybe it doesn't register the same?
Potentially. But once again, that's like a person by person.
Sure.
Who knows? I'm a firm believer too that things come to you when they're meant to come to you. So like if it wasn't from him, who knows if they would have heard it somewhere else? Because not everybody picks up a book like I do and starts to read. Some people just go about their every single day life. And this was that moment for them to get out of their regular everyday life and take a second to be like, I need to learn. Some people don't have the privilege every single day of like engrossing themselves in that stuff consistently.
Absolutely. One thing too, and I just want to like show that this is, oh my gosh, this is the book. This was really cool because when you showed this to me, it was giving like, from a therapy perspective, it was giving massive CBT vibes, cognitive behavioral therapy. And so our biggest thing that, we talk about a lot of the times is like using kind of like worksheets in a way to kind of really help sort of map out behaviors and emotions and feelings and sort of, and also too, like, and even when we do existential therapy and we kind of look at the world on that like wide view lens, immediately like opening up, I showed here just like the 6 human needs are just really fascinating because it talks about like contribution at your core and then growth, connection, significance, uncertainty, and then certainty. Yeah. And that's so fascinating to me.
That book, honestly, there were a few things included in the event. He gave us one of his books he wrote, something about investing, honestly. It's sitting on my bookshelf right now. Yeah. Hopefully I'll read it. But then that workbook was something that you're supposed to use to follow along through the event. And I do like that aspect of it because I'm also a firm believer in like writing stuff down because it's so easy for you to like remember what you're thinking in that moment. But sometimes people also need a refresher. You're like, what was that thing that really resonated with me that like I can't come up with it again? So writing things down, it's also just like a way people memorize and like really get you ingrained in that feeling. So yeah, that workbook people were working on throughout the event, which was super cool.
That's amazing.
Also too, to give you guys kind of like a breakdown of the event, it was 4 days. The first day we started at like, I want to say 10:30, 11. We were running a little late. We went until 2:00 in the morning, and he did not take a single break. This man is like 60. I don't know how old. I'm sorry if I'm getting the age wrong, but I think he's in his 60s. Nonstop talked from 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning till literally 2:00 in the morning almost, which is incredible.
So did you guys take breaks? Did you
No.
sit there the whole time?
So
Or did
I
you-
mean, me and my friend were getting up to use the restroom. Obviously, one of us would go get food occasionally and then come back. But yeah, we sat in the stadium seat for that amount of time. I don't know how many hours that is. It was intense. And then the first day too, we walked on fire, which was interesting.
Explain.
I guess
did you-
it's supposed to be like a mental thing to prove you can overcome hard challenges.
Oh.
So it,
Like you walked on coals.
yes.
Oh, okay. Now just like
Walking
what was
through
it?
actual
walking through fire. I was like, wait.
People might
explain.
go to the hospital. Yeah, no, but
Right.
they would burn a fire, like put it out, take the hot coals and put them in rows for people to walk across because it's supposed to be like a mind over matter type of thing is why you're there. Is like you can do hard things and overcome it, and you just have to put yourself in the right mindset to believe you can do it.
Yeah.
So
Was that
it's-
because we talk about a lot about doing it scared,
Yeah.
right? And so the thing is in that moment, I know that you said like you thought it was cool, the coolest thing ever, and you were just like, yeah, I'll do it, whatever.
Yeah.
But you said a lot of people were actually scared.
Oh, completely.
and a lot of people were hesitant, and it was a huge like mind over matter.
This was so funny though too, because you know how I said like a lot of people think this might even be a little culty type of stuff, like how many people he brings together. It's so funny though, because he's like, while we're walking outside of the stadium to the fire, everyone has to chant, yes, yes. So there's like crowds of people walking through the stadium chanting yes. But no, so it was like 2 a.m. I was exhausted, and you know me and I know me. And I'm that person where like, if you tell me it's hard, it's just something ingrained in me. I'm like, I'm going to do it. So I didn't even have a doubt in the back of my mind. I'm like, oh, people have done this before. It's obviously safe if they're letting us do it. Let's go. Like,
Yeah.
that stuff doesn't scare me. Being weak scares me, not being strong. We'll get into that later. But I looked at my friend who was sitting next to me, and you can tell she was like terrified. And I'm like, I really want to skip this and go home because I know, and because I'm tired. It's 2 a.m. and I know I'm going to do it. So like, I'm looking at her. I'm like, oh yeah, we got to do this.
Yeah.
Because she was so scared, and she was so happy she did it after though. So it really does get like Tony's events. I feel like are there's so much jumping, dude. You'd think you're at a rave. So like he's very much ingrains like emotions and implementation in it. Like when you're in that high state energy, when you overcome this thing, that's his goal with the event. I feel like is to get you into that emotional state. And after the firewalk, a lot of people were like, yes. So it does work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, breaking it down at its core is fascinating. That it's just like at the end of the day, when you do things that you feel scared to do and you do them, there's a sense of
It's
accomplishment.
empowering.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Yeah.
And for a lot of those people who may not do everything sort of scared every day, right? They're stuck in the 9-to-5 rut, same thing over and over, same pattern, same everything, right? To do something different, completely out of your comfort zone. I can't imagine how many lives were changed in that moment just over something so simple, like walking over, hot coals on a 10-foot strip outside in the middle of New Jersey.
Yeah, I will say that like one thing that was insanely beautiful about this entire thing is we'll get a little bit more into like what's it called again, like the criteria I guess that he taught and like different things that happened. But one thing, because it was also sort of spiritual in a way. I am very big on like releasing emotions and feeling your feels. And like I put myself in communities where people are constantly trying to grow and constantly like being vulnerable. It was so beautiful to be in a room where people actually, you can tell they probably never had a time in their life or they've never given themselves a second to feel vulnerable and actually think about their future and be like hopeful. There were points in this stadium full of people where people were like screaming, crying, like laughing. And it was actually very just like beautiful to watch.
How do you think people, like, I'm just so fascinated to know, like, how did he get all those people to feel so many different emotions, yet the same emotion at the same time? Like, does that make sense? Like, everyone was having their own visceral experience.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like they were all having this collective
Well, because it's guided though,
experience of
too.
like, oh, okay.
So like that's what I mean is like it's guided. So there's moments where he wants you to feel hyped. So like there were dancers on the stage, and when he wants everyone to be happy and jumping around, he plays this high music, like jumping up and down
Yeah.
with dancers. When he wants you to tune in to like, there was a part where he's just like, I want you to feel the emotion of what it's going to cost you not taking this next step. He's like, I want you to feel the price you are paying of waiting to do the thing you've been waiting to do.
See, he was giving people ultimatums in a way.
Yes, in a way. But that's like, just realize how much time you've wasted. And like, that's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
He even had us like mimic sometimes, like mimic like you're in this type of emotional state with the person next to you. Mimic you're in another emotional state, like you're shy, and like just to get us to feel these different emotions. He's very good at being able to kind of get you to see the different dynamics of how different emotions affect you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was guided. So yeah, but it was just so cool too, because I'm like, I've been learning about different emotions throughout my life. I make time for it. I feel blessed where like my work, even in the hospital or my coaching, is emotions are very much involved, where a lot of people it's not. So it was really beautiful to actually see that being a part of a stadium full of people's lives.
Yeah.
Just expressing emotion and realizing like the potential that we actually all hold within us.
No, I think that's so cool because you talked so much with us about the things that you felt like kind of changed other people's lives, or maybe that you recognized sort of changed your life in a way. What were some of the negatives that you experienced from it, or things maybe that you saw from other speakers or Tony himself that you were like, this feels a little not what I'm used to.
Whew. Not what
Yeah.
I'm used to, or not what I've expected or necessarily
Yeah, correct.
wanted. Because as much as
Exactly.
we say we all want to go in with an open mind, we still have like
You have
hopes.
biases, and yeah, absolutely.
You really want to get into the negative? There's so much good.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, because
we can talk for. I mean,
I'm fully encompassed in this. So part is like, as much as I know there's positives, I also know that too.
As the viewers, probably like, I feel like everybody loves to have a skeptical mind. They're like, what am I really paying for?
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
are you just another salesman for Tony? Because he's got a bunch of those already,
Right.
you know? So a few things that I wish were different and would have been changed is one thing that I was not too thrilled about. And I do kind of see the point in this also, was they didn't give us a schedule. So like, I'm just that person where it's just like, and I've been learning to also do this, but my time's valuable and I like to know what I'm getting myself into. So there were 2 days Tony wasn't even present at the event. And that's something I'm like, I wish I kind of knew, especially because I'm like, oh, the last day, like, I'm happy I stayed. But part of me is like, I might have actually went home a day early. So I get why they don't do it. But we had no schedule. Like, Tony was only there for 2 days, the first day and the third day. The other days were speakers. And also, too, it's just like, I'm that person where I'm like, I want to know what I'm eating if we do have a break. I want to kind of know what speakers are here, too. If somebody's feeling drained, and like, I also don't believe in pushing yourself past your limit all the time. I'm like, we were up till 2 o'clock in the morning the first night. And then like, I would have just liked to know who the first speaker was or what they were talking about. So I could have like, if I needed that time so I can be more refreshed later for the speakers I am interested in hearing, I could have slept in.
Okay.
That's like kind of my thing. Another thing was, and I get where this is valuable to a lot of people, especially in my state too. Like I've been talking about, I've been feeling drained lately, tired, just not myself, like in a sense, sad. There was so much jumping and dancing. And like, I love it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, we could have cut it down by 20%.
It was a full cardio workout.
No, actually though, but that was his thing. He's like, I want you're like, I guess there's some not neurolinguistic, but like neuroscience to it, where it's like when you're learning something, if you have a higher heart rate and your blood's pumping, you're going to absorb it more and it's going to stay in you. So I get the point. Part of me was just like, there was a lot of jumping up and down and dancing, and every moment where it was just like you thought you were sitting and just like, I just want to chill for a minute. Dancers come out on stage, high vibe music, and I'm like,
here we go again.
This is a rave. This is legit. Or like I said, they had Pitbull there. I'm like, one night they closed out with, and let alone, he seems like a great guy, and I think it's a great plus to give to people. But what was it? The second night they closed with Pitbull coming on stage, giving a little inspirational speech, and then doing a concert.
Just Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide, baby.
Out here giving speeches.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, honestly, though, I don't have, those are minor complaints. My other thing is on a deeper level, I feel like. So Tony, like I said, he gets people to feel things, right? He even talks about it too when it comes to like marketing businesses or yourself or whatever you want to do. He's like, don't sell your product, sell an emotion. That's how you get people hooked and that's how you help people. So my biggest thing though is we dove really deep into like individuals in the audience. He would pick people down on like the floor, which are like the VIP people, to talk about things and their emotions and what they're going through. And he had people having realizations and like crying and feeling connected. But my biggest thing is it's easy to make somebody realize something like in that moment. And like he does talk about tools to do at home, but I'm like, I wish a little bit more resources were available to get people to like acknowledge those emotions and work for them too. Because some people don't, if you are coming from a toxic environment or you are coming with a loaded past of filled with trauma and negative emotions, like one event, yes, it'll help you kickstart into healing, but it doesn't always stick.
Yeah.
You know, I just wish there were more resources in like how to find like a breath worker or a yoga studio or a good therapist or like going back home realizing like, hey, this is going to be hard, especially he talks about your environment. But like, I don't know. I just think I feel like it could have gone, or it's hard in a stadium like that to go deeper.
Well, no, I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, the thing is like, imagine putting yourself through all those insane emotions, all those insane feelings. Say you've never been to therapy before. Yeah. You're realizing all of this for the first time. In a way, dangerous is not the word to use for it, but for people who have never experienced those feelings before and then have forms of radical acceptance, it can bring a lot. Yeah. And imagine being in an environment where you've sort of created a lot of this radical acceptance for yourself, but then you go home and you're like, oh no.
This is still my old life.
This is still my old life. What am I doing?
From this event, but this is still, oh shit, you know? Yeah. Yeah. So that was one thing, especially because I'm such like an open heart. Like I love people feeling their feels. I feel like that's what makes you a better human being, and you can go forward in the world more wholeheartedly and like just a better self is when you feel your emotions and like you get rid of the past and stuff. So I like how he brings it to light. But to me, I'm just like, more implementation at home. You know, it's a journey. Like healing is an every single day practice. And he does say that. He's like, surround yourself with good people, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. So I went to an event similar, but with Oprah Winfrey, actually in 2020, right before COVID shut down. Like it was in January. And we went to the one in Minneapolis, and she had talked about like finding your purpose, right? And it was amazing. It was such a beautiful event. It was very similar. It was only one day, but it was a beautiful experience. Even they had a guest speaker was Tina Fey. She came in and talked about like her journey and her purpose and like her career and whatnot. But then that being said, we all went home after the end of the day with these books, just like, you know, this Unleash the Power Within. And I kind of sat there and recognized, I'm like, dang, how many people do you think go home and actually implement this work? And it's hard. It's kind of like setting those like New Year's Eve goal resolutions where you're like, I'm going to the gym every day now. Yeah. And then you go for about 3 weeks to a month, maybe. And then you end up, you know, falling off, maybe going once a week and then once every other week and then once a month. And then you're back in the same routine. And so I think it would be fascinating to see if there was sort of like an outreach team.
See, I think
dedicated to like helping people, like, you know, not saying you need to call 10,000 people to ask, hey, how are you doing after the event? But sort of a place where people could reach out and be like, hey, I'm looking for services in my area that can really help. So he does
have coaching teams.
Launch that.
Though,
Oh, he does that.
Yeah. So like Tony has like this guy is massive, like the scale that he's reached and what he has. But like he's got his own like trained certified coaches through him that you can call. So like he offers his own resources. They did send out a video like the week after, like recapping everything, and they put everybody in a chat room to kind of talk about it. So anybody who wants to can join. Okay. I think it's all on you though, but like that is kind of life. It's like whatever you want to take from it, you can take. Whatever you want to show up and like join that community, go ahead.
I do want to talk about some of the themes that were discussed because while Tony was there was a lot of other speakers that were also there as well.
Yes.
And one of the yes. All right. And one of the biggest things that I saw was that you talked about clarity as power.
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk about more about what and who said that?
Tony.
Also, Tony did.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that mean that clarity as power to him? What did he mean by
I think to
that?
him, it's just like, because we focused a lot, like in that workbook, it focuses a lot on like beliefs and values and what's been working for you, what hasn't been. It talks about purpose a lot. So he kind of has you write down your beliefs, what's serving you, like what new beliefs you want to have. And I think that is true though. A lot of times when people want to change, they try all these different things and their energy's scattered, right?
Mhm.
He's really big on like find out what you want based on your belief systems, like write down what you value, what's important to you and what you like to do to find a purpose, which I agree with all of that.
Mhm.
And then through that, like get a really clear vision on what you want, because if you don't know where to go, you're not going to go there. Does that make sense? It's
It
just
does.
like, yeah, I'm like, it's like when you're shooting an arrow, you have a target in front of you, you know where it's going. I could be misinterpreting this because it's been a few weeks since I've been to the conference, but what I take from that is it's just like, in order for it to happen, you have to see it and you have to believe it. So like having a clear vision, that doesn't mean thinking it's only going to go one way, but just knowing where you want it to go. Then that way you could make a plan, and planning and implementation is key, right?
Yeah.
Because when you can make, like when you know where you want to go, you can make a plan and start reaching out to people for help and like figuring out what you need to do. But if you don't know where you're going, you don't know how to put together the other pieces.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I took from it.
Mm-hmm.
He also talks a lot about too, like in order to push you forward. There's was one analogy I really, really loved, and he's just like, what was it? I'm gonna have to read it. It's something about boats. You have to burn the boats. Oh, if you want to move forward, burn the boats, then there's no way of going back. That's something I really liked too.
Like as in if you leave your mainland and then you go to an island. Like what's
It's so,
like,
I mean, in that sense too, we talk. No, we talk about this though, where
what?
it's so easy sometimes to go back to the familiar known. What's scary is the unknown, but like
Yeah.
killing that old stuff and just accepting and moving forward into the direction that you see, like you can't go back then. I don't know. He's very
Yeah.
big on, and I just thought that was beautiful. I love
Yeah.
that quote. Also too, at the event, speaking about the speakers, like it's really easy for you. There was this one woman who came, I wrote down her name. What was it? There's this one woman who came on who was talking about, she's like, when I was in my 20s, I didn't even know how to swim. And then like in years, I like put myself in situations, I reached out to people I admired, and then like within a few years, she became like an Olympic triathlon. She talks about overcoming cancer and coming out as gay when it was not like as talked about.
Accepted.
Yeah, exactly. So like they also had, her name is Suri Lindy, I think is what it is. I wrote that down because I thought you would want to know because you love your Olympics. They also had like the founder of It Cosmetics, and she gets on stage and talks about how like, I went to a cosmetic company and they said nobody will ever buy makeup from a woman who looks like you
Oh.
because she's overweight.
Rude.
So like that's what I mean. He puts you in like an inspirational state and makes you realize that like if you know what you want and you commit to it and you work forward with it, a good heart and intention and power, like he emphasizes power a lot.
Wow.
If you move forward with power and assertiveness and just knowing your vision and what you want, you can get there.
I mean, and that comes wholeheartedly off too, like beliefs and values that we often, you and I discuss about too. And he discussed that as well. And so one note that you have paraphrased in here, and this is, I believe, from him. Is that correct?
A version or something. All the notes I was taking were something he said that like stuck with me and I thought could be beneficial.
Yeah. I mean, this part was really cool. And you wrote this. He said, beliefs and values shape your life, but oftentimes they aren't what you've created. We model what and who we are around us, eliminating old beliefs. Whoa.
Well, because he's super big too on it's just like he goes into thinking that like he shares also stories from his own life. I guess at one point he was like could not even keep the lights on in his like studio apartment he had a roommate with in like Venice or something like that, right? And one day he's just like, "Who? This isn't who the fuck I am. I'm deciding to choose who I am. Like this isn't
Yeah.
it." He also says like statements just like you're not too young, you're not too old, you're not too this, you're not too that. Because that's the thing is like a lot of us choose beliefs that are limiting to us.
Yep.
They're not empowering. He's very big on like, and I agree and disagree with this. He's like, give yourself 90 seconds to get rid of that negative emotion. If something pops up and it's not serving you, give yourself 90 seconds and switch it to high vibe, high energy, like something that's going to move you forward. So, but that's the thing. A lot of us choose beliefs that bring us down, that aren't serving us. But it's just like one thing that kept repeating in my head when he was talking is he talks about how limitless we are. And it just reminded me when we were younger, there was always like, I don't know why I go back to like that Hannah Montana song where she's like 1 in a million or something like that. But I've always been that person where it's just like, okay, 1 in a million. Why can't I be that one? And that's kind of what he's saying. Like it is possible. Some person can do it. So why not you? But that's once again, like that's what this event kind of is like lighting that fire underneath your ass. And it's like, come on, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, why are you lying to yourself? Like, these are all beliefs that somebody else has told you. That doesn't mean they have to be yours. Choose your beliefs. Like, and then he's also really big. He'll talk about his own personal experience where it's like when you engross yourself in a community that's, and we've talked about this, you engross yourself in a community that's going to build you up and bring you to the next level. Like, that's how you get to the next level is like learning from the people around you. Like you don't always want to be the smartest person in the room. Like, and you can be on one subject, but if there's a subject you want to learn about, go find the best person in that field and learn from them. And that's how you become the best. I feel like a lot of people do want to do everything on their own. Hey, I'm guilty of it completely. But he's just like, dude, it's so much easier finding somebody to learn from. And also they can accelerate where you're going to go because they've done it before. You don't have to rewrite the entire handbook. You don't. People already have done it. Like you just have to follow their roadmap.
Yep.
So that was something that he really emphasized on.
I love that. And he also like, in sort of a way, being able to reach out for help is okay.
It is. Well, you're coming to the event for help, are you not? That's what the whole thing's about.
Well, I think so many people base their entire existence off independence. And we've, not letting anyone hold your hand and all these different concepts that are like so
I feel like it's one of two ways these days. I feel like people are either hyper independent or they can't do anything by themselves.
Yeah.
They're too reliant. So this is kind of getting a mix of both. Meaning like, okay, you're reliant. That means you think you can't do anything. But guess what? You can.
Did they talk about how to create independence while still being able to reach out for help?
Not specifically, I guess. I mean, he just talks about empowering thoughts and stuff like that. He emphasized many times, he's like, people want that person that walk into the room and they're not like timid. They're not sitting in the back. If they're a problem, you want to be that person who's like, I got this. So he talks, like, just the way he talks is really much about like empowerment, but it is also about asking for help. I mean, there are so many different things that he spoke on, but a lot of it does just boil down into like believing in yourself.
Yeah.
Choosing positive emotions and positive people that are around you. Cause like this is what I go about, like my belief, we are the creator of our own universe.
Yeah.
So therefore, like in order for you to create the things around you, you have to know what you need around you. And that's what you need around you is the things that you want to become and do and see. So he emphasizes that a lot.
That's amazing. I wish that we could do like we talk about this so much, but I'm such a visual learner.
Yes.
And I feel like so many people are. It would love to do like a visual sort of thing on this because this would be something really cool to put into a roadmap for people to help kind of understand a lot of these concepts.
Completely. And I really wish that we did this even like the day I got back because it'd probably be so much fresh of like the construct and how everything went. But at the same time, it's like go to the event and have your own experience because even what I'm saying right now, this is my experience. You'll probably have a different one. What I really loved about the event for me, at least, it was like I have a passion for everything that I do, don't get me wrong. But like being in that community, since it's the things that I love, is like the person sitting next to me is telling me about their problems. And like the person behind me is telling me about this and that. And I'm that person where I'm just like, when I'm genuinely connected with somebody, I like get on fire. And like what was encouraging to me is like I'm in this room full of people and they're like, oh, I can see you being up there. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like being around people that encourage you because I'm like, I'm trying to help them with their problem. And then they're just like, that's what I love to do. And they're like, damn, dude, you're actually decent at this. I'm like, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
But like, it's just, if you want to better yourself, be around people who want to better themselves as well. Also, going into the event, besides just like Tony, this big, ginormous personality, um, I do like how he encompassed in it. Like the last day was all based on like health in a way. So he had people coming on and speaking about actually like your physical body and how to optimize like your health in order to give you the energy to move forward and create the things that you want. Because let's be honest, though, like we talk about mind, body, spirit, like holistic, everything is one. He gets people to sink down. Like he had everybody close their eyes and join in almost like a mass meditation at one point. So like he's like business is spiritual, interacting with people is spiritual. And then he's like, also, if your body's crap, if
Yeah.
you're putting shit into it, you're gonna get shit results. So he had people come on, talk about like a chiropractor was on there, talked about like how to move your body, like posture wise. Somebody was also on there to talk about like the food that you need, how most of our bodies are acidic these
Yeah.
days, and we should actually be alkaline. So I thought that was pretty cool too.
Can you talk? So can we do like something? Because now
Something
I'm
what?
curious. Now I am very curious. I'm gonna put a quick pause on that
Okay.
because I want to know. You said there was a chiropractor that came on and spoke, and they
Mhm.
talked about how to sit or like how to move your body. Can you kind of share some of those?
I wish
How
I
he?
remember what it was, but like he's like when you're and this reminds me of cat cow from yoga, but he's just like you're not I don't know what it was, if it's stagnant energy, if it's just making you feel better, but he was like move your hips like back and forth in your chair a little bit, like flex and rotate. Look up cat cow people. That yoga pose, it's just flexing.
Your spine?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like I guess most of us don't have really good mobility. Um, he also had this doctor on who was like, drink all your green juice. It's good for you. It'll make you alkaline. Like your saliva and stuff is acidotic and it shouldn't be. They talk about, yeah, they talk about like processed fats and foods and how it's not good for you and how like honestly the food industry kind of lies to you too. It was actually amazing how like he spoke about personal experiences with his wife Sage about how she had like something going on with her brain from a young age. I guess when she was pulled out of the womb, like they did, I don't know what happened. And she's like, I refused to follow natural. I mean, I refused to go to like Western medicine. Like I thought there was a natural way to do it and they fixed it. So that's something I'm actually very happy that they were telling is like another guy was on stage talking about his mom who had cancer.
Yeah.
And he told the doctor, he's like, don't you fucking dare tell my mom how long she has to live. Do not give her that death sentence. Because if you give her it, she's going to believe it.
Yeah.
And that's a limiting belief right there. And then he's like, my mom recovered.
Wow.
But like that's we talk about that all
Yeah.
the time too. I'm like, I'm huge on just like you'd be surprised what we're actually capable of when we treat our bodies right and we have the right mindset and we think the best instead of the worst case scenario. I'm a firm believer whatever you go looking for, you're going to find.
Yeah.
So they actually brought on people to talk about your health in that aspect. And I think that's really, really good for overall community. Like if you don't go home and start that business you want to start or write that book or like start speaking, whatever, at least like you learned a little bit different ways to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Which I was happy about too, me being in that field also. So
Yeah. Which for a lot of people, it's all they need.
yeah,
You know?
completely though. And I'm just like, some people, I was just like looking around and it was actually very cool to see like a lot of, I don't want to say older because they're not older, but I feel like a majority of the people there were some people in their teens there and there were some people like, I think the oldest woman there was like 90 something.
Wow.
And I was just like, it was really cool to see a bunch of people of different ages and like even people our parents' age, like 40s, 50s, 60s, jumping up and down. And I'm like, they probably have not felt this motivated in years.
Yeah.
You know, or this like much of a connection. I was talking to a gentleman who was there. He brought his brother because his brother grew up with like moles all over his body. And he's like, I just wanted him to see that there was more of a purpose and people here see him for who he truly is. Like they don't see the moles on his body. Like we go to the grocery store and people stare at him here. They just want to talk to him. I'm like, yes. What do you take away from that? He's like, I'm like, bring your brother to places where they celebrate him. There's places out there. You just have to go looking for them. go to a yoga studio, go to an event like this, like good for you for coming here and seeing that there's another side of the world versus just that 9 to 5 every single day thing that we're taught.
Yeah.
You know, like there's actually communities out there that do care and want you to do better. And okay, maybe it is drinking the Kool-Aid. But I'm like, if somebody gets something good out of it, like who
Yeah.
fucking cares?
Exactly.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I know you and I have discussed this so much that, we created this podcast on the ability, if we can change just one person's life,
Mhm.
then we did our job.
Yeah.
And I think that this is such a beautiful rendition of this, and the fact that it didn't matter who you were, where you came from, what you did. If you came in with the notion of with an open mind
Mhm.
and seeing the ability to grow from it,
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. And even when I was there, I was texting you. I'm like, Matt, I think we need to do this. I think you need to do
Yeah,
this. Cause like that shit's infectious.
it
You
is.
know, like I just want to encourage people, like, please, if you actually do want to better yourself and do something great, like share that with other people too, because like that's how the entire world grows and heals and we start becoming these superhumans. Like
Yeah.
we're all capable of doing it. I'm that person where when I find shit like this, I want to share it with the world.
Yeah. I just want to say that I think it's really cool. And I can't wait to experience this hopefully next year with you. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really want us to do the business one actually. If
Yeah,
there
it
are
is.
any key takeaways from this, I really just kind of want to encourage people, regardless if it is Tony or like an Oprah event, or do you know how many speakers there are out there or like events? If it's something that sparks your interest, once again, I'm going to reiterate the most valuable thing you can invest in is yourself. From investing in yourself, you will make more money, you will form better relationships. So please just do that. The shoes can wait.
Yeah.
Vacations, I don't know. But I'm just like truly it's invaluable, like things you get from these events. You never know who you're gonna meet.
Mhm.
I know some people come out and they're like, that was a waste of my time, but I'm just like, what else were you gonna be doing with your time and money anyway? Sometimes I don't know. I'm just if you're interested in it, please do. And then after that, like reach out to people to encourage you to go on your journey, like hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
But overall, I do think that, like, don't get me wrong, there were things that I wasn't too fond of, but at the same time, I think it was definitely beneficial and completely worth it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. It's just this was such a fun episode to be able to do with you for a variety of reasons. So I'm really glad that we were able to sit down and talk about your experience and see how it impacted you, and also see how this has impacted other people in such great lengths. So it's
Yeah.
amazing.
I'm just like, it's so great. I don't know, man. Growing up in the Midwest and like the things that we were just taught you sit in a classroom and you learn, like,
Yeah.
it was just such an interesting thing to be a part of. You're literally in a stadium, a hockey stadium with people jumping up and down, listening to this crazy music, like all just learning how to be better human beings. It's kind of
Yeah.
dope.
It is.
So yeah, no, thank you for listening to my story and thank you guys for listening also. If you have any questions about it, please reach out to us. I'd be happy to answer. Once again, too, I want to reiterate that this was not meant to take the place of going to this conference. And by all means, I hope I did Tony and his team justice.
Yeah.
So please, like I said, reach out and just be interested.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Until next time, I love you.
And thank you so much, and keep shining your light.